Okay, we're going to learn how to put our flutes together today. We're going to learn how to hold the flute. We're going to produce a few sounds, learn how to get the correct sound on the flute, talk about cleaning the flute, and then the correct way of putting it away when you're finished practicing. When you put your flute together, make sure you have the flute sitting on just on a flat surface with the case on the floor. When I open the case, the latches should lift up. Okay, so that's going to tell you that you've got the correct side of the case down. So the latches lift up. I'm going to open the case. And the first thing we're going to start with today is we're just going to pick up the head joint. Okay, when I pick this head joint up, we're going to try to produce a sound. The long part of the head joint is going to be to your right. Okay, so what I'd like you to do first of all is we're going to cover one end of the flute, and we're going to try to produce a sound with just the head joint here. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to form your lips as if you were thinking of saying the word poo. When you say poo, the lips are together, and you say poo, and you just blow air through your lips, poo. So keep the lips naturally together. You're going to bring the head joint right up against your bottom lip, and you should be able to feel the edge of the hole against the bottom lip. And I'm blowing across the hole, covering the end. I'm getting this type of sound. If you're having a hard time finding or getting that sound, some of you might try this. I'm going to put the hole right in the center of my lips. Now I'm going to roll it away. That might help. Okay, so you might have to do a little experimenting, moving it around, but try to keep the lips together. Okay? Make sure the top lip isn't getting too far over. If you're successful getting that sound, just hold it without covering the end. You're going to get a higher pitch. Okay? So those are the things we need to work on. Your flute is laying against that bottom lip, trying to blow that air right through the center. Okay. Then we're going to talk about assembly of the flute. The next piece I'm going to pick up is the body of the flute. And often I'll just grab it here toward the top section here. I'm going to twist these two pieces just back and forth here. Okay. And for now, just twist it all the way in. Later on, we'll be pulling that out slightly. Okay. When I put the flute together, you're going to be lining the tone hole is going to line up with the first few keys on the flute. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but pretty much if you draw that line straight down, that's where that should be. Okay? Then I'm going to pick up the foot joint, pick that up, and it only fits one way. So if I start to do, oops, wrong way, I'm going to twist the foot joint on, just kind of twist back and forth. Then we have to be careful. There's a certain position here. There's a post right here, and you might think it's supposed to line up. However, we've got to twist that up a little ways so that the post is about in the middle of the other key. So right like that, because our pinky is going to be pressing there. Okay, so we have our flute together. Okay, holding position. First thing I'm going to do is take our right hand, and we're going to put our pinky right on this last key. There's a series of keys, but it's the large key right here closest to the body of the flute. And then we're going to just go backwards, put our next finger here, our next finger here, and our first finger here. Okay, when I turn the flute, my thumb should just be underneath the flute between the first and second fingers. Get an idea how that hand is. Okay, with my left hand, I'm going to make a hook with my first finger, and then I'm going to lay the flute right against my finger here. I'm going to bring that first finger down on the second key. So that first finger is right there. In the back of the flute, my thumb goes right on that key. As I bring it back around, my second finger is going to go on this key. So we're skipping one key in between there. Third finger goes on the next key. And the pinky will be using this key here. We won't be pressing that key on our first notes, but that's where the pinky goes. Okay? As I turn the flute towards the playing position, I'm going to try to keep my flute pretty level. Okay, with my right hand, I'm going to get that elbow out away from me a little bit, holding the flute pretty level. And beginning flute sound will sound something like that. Okay? All right. When I'm finished playing the flute, we don't have to do anything else as far as maintenance. We're just going to start putting it away. What I like to do is I'm going to take the pieces and kind of just gently set those down in the case. I'm laying the 3 different pieces in the case. Now before I close the case, I'm going to clean out or swab the flute. So what I'm going to look for, somewhere in your case, we have a long cleaning rod like this. It might be made out of metal. It might be made out of plastic. It doesn't matter. We have to find a cloth. And what you'll need to do is somewhere around the house, ask a parent to find you a cotton cloth, something that will absorb the moisture, and cut a strip about 1 foot long and about 4 or 5 inches wide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one end right through the end of the cleaning rod. Just pull it through a little ways, and then I'm going to cover the end, just kind of wrap the cloth over the top. Okay? And then I need to pick up the different pieces of the flute, and I'm just going to push that right through. So I'm going to swab out the foot joint. Okay? I'm going to swab out the body, so I'm just going to push it in from one end, and then I'll pull it out, and I'll push it in from the other end. Sometimes you might be able to pull it, and if it comes out the other end, you can pull it right through. Take the head joint. Same thing. I'm going to just go up into the head joint a few times. Okay, and then I'll take my cloth off, put that cleaning rod back into the case. Now, before I close the case, I want to make sure I put the different pieces in correctly. All of the keys should be up, and if you look at the way it looks in the case, the curve key right here on the body is to the inside. If you have that correct right there, then you know your case is in the instrument's in the correct position. Okay, the cleaning cloth that I just used, where do I put that? The flute doesn't have a compartment to store any oil or cloths or anything, so and I don't want to put the rag on top of the flute, because if I close that case, that cloth is a little bit wet and that water is going to get onto the keys. Plus, if I close the case, I'm putting some extra pressure on the keys. So we're not going to keep that cloth in the case. We're going to close the case. Make sure you close those latches. We want to put that flute away when we're done playing it. Don't leave it sitting out on the floor. Someone can come and step on it. Little brother or sister might pick it up and monkey around with it. It's really important that we don't wreck the keys. I'm going to so put the flute in the case. I'm going to put the cloth, I'm going to tie it right onto the handle, and then it's going to dry out in between practice sessions, and then I'm going to just set my case somewhere in my room where it's safe and out of the way from the other people in the family. Then I'm all set for the next time I practice.